Hi guys, welcome back to the Drive Life channel, and in today's video we are in the 2019 BMW X3. We've got a bit of a road trip going on today. We've got to go down to Southend-on-Sea to pick up Mrs DL's new sideboard that she's bought on Facebook. So it's a 400-mile round trip, about 8.5 hours of driving. We're just leaving Herefordshire now. So yeah, I thought we'd bring you guys along to see what the car's like. Be interested to compare it to the Volvo in terms of how it road trips. I think we're about 10 miles into the journey now on some A roads. We're just going over to the M5 to go onto the motorway. So yeah, it should be pretty good. So I'll keep you guys going, keep you guys following along. We'll do MPG test, comfort test and all that, and I'll give you my final opinion. We've got a good mixture of roads. We've got, like I said, A roads like this, dual carriageways, motorways. So it should be a good test of the X3's general driving characteristics. Also, obviously, we're going to be testing the practicality because we're going to ram a sideboard into the back of it, hopefully, if it fits. So yeah, we'll join you guys once we're on the motorway. Okay then, so we've joined you a little earlier. We've got vintage tractors passing by. Sorry if we're stuck behind them. Because I just wanted to talk about the characteristics of this car on an A road. I know I said I'd join you on the motorway, but I've just noticed something that I think we should talk about here. So what seems to be happening is the car is swaying a lot like this. We're finding ourselves sort of wobbling. Oh, we've got an ambulance behind us now. It's a fun place to pull over for them. But yeah, you find yourself wobbling around quite a bit. Now, obviously, we've got the Jeep, we've got the Volvo, which is the main car I'm testing this against, and it doesn't do it in the Jeep, which you think it would, because it's got bigger tyres, silly suspension, and it's a body on frame. Obviously, this has all got independent suspension as a monocoque, so you wouldn't have thought you'd get as much sway as you do. I'm just going to pull over here for the ambulance. But yeah, it just seems to wobble around quite a bit. Another thing that annoys me is that you go on the there we go, when you're on the cruise control, you'll go into a bend and the steering changes weight mid-bend, which is a bit weird, and also the car will brake, so you get this strange sort of sensation as you're driving that the car is just sort of fighting against you. That might be something I just need to get used to, or it might be just the characteristic of the car. I'm not quite sure yet, so it'll be interesting to find out how that progresses. When I'm not on cruise control, I don't get the same issue, but you still get the same issues where you're wobbling around. So that's yeah, worth noting. But we've put it in Eco Pro because I want to see what on earth is this in front. No one will know. There's the Mini as well. Can't imagine what the crash rating is on that. But yeah, so that's my initial thoughts on sort of the A road characteristics. Other than that, it's fairly pleasant. It's a little bit noisier than the Volvo as well. Bearing in mind, this car new was around 42 grand. Or at the same time that I bought the Volvo, this was 42 grand, and I paid £1,500 for my Volvo. There is a noticeable difference in the cabin where it is slightly louder. So that's something I'm going to keep an eye on, especially on the motorway. If we get some rougher surfaces, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, we're not far away from the motorway now, so we'll join you on the M5. Okay, so we're on the M40 now. We've been in the car about 2.5 hours. Just thought I'd check in with you guys and let you know how it's performed so far on the motorway. So we've got 110 miles to go. According to the range, we've used about 60 miles of range. We've definitely used more than that. We've definitely travelled further than that. We've averaged 44.2, and I've realised that I probably haven't told you guys the specification of this engine, so it might be worth doing that as well. So this is the the 20D. So I think it's the B47 engine, 2-litre diesel, 190 horsepower, 44 mpg is about what you'd expect from this, especially with the X-Drive as well, because that does increase fuel usage a little bit more, because you've got extra drivetrain components and everything like that. Thank you very much. Been let out there. So yeah, so far on the motorway it's been rather pleasant. As you can hear, there's a bit of road noise. It's a bit, it's not quite as quiet as the Volvo was, or Volvo is. And Mrs. DL has been shuffling around in her seat because she can't quite get as comfortable. I think it's just because we're not used to driving it, sort of don't know where to put my arm, things like that. But yeah, overall it's a very pleasant car. One thing that has annoyed me so far is, again, with the cruise control. It's one of those cruise controls that brakes to stop you speeding up when you're going downhill. And what it does is it actually brakes too much, so you're under the speed limit, and then will I need to be back over in this lane, staying on the M40, and then it'll accelerate back up to the speed once you're on a flat ground. And what that does, that not only uses more fuel, but you get a sense of jerkiness. It's just a bit of an odd sensation, really, considering that you're sat on a motorway. You don't expect to be sort of braking and then accelerating the way it does. So yeah, apart from that though, it's been lovely. We've got our music on, we're chilling. We might need to have a stop on the way down just because we can't quite get comfortable. You can't really sink into these seats as well as you can with the Volvo, but I think that's probably because it's Volvo's got 100,000 miles and the seats are broken in, so they might have a thing to do for it. But yeah, so far so good, I suppose. This is sort of the modern car conundrum now, is it? They're very, very numb. They're sort of an appliance to get you from A to B, and that's sort of how you have to look at them. But yeah, no, we're all good. I'll probably speak to you guys once we've got the furniture loaded in, and then I forgot actually to do a trip reset, so we'll do a trip to get the proper fuel economy and average speed and everything on the way back up, because we've got to come straight back up anyway, doing the exact same route. So yeah, so I'll see you guys shortly. So we're on the M25, and as you can see, we've reached Essex. Got a lovely Range Rover Vogue here in its stretch guise. Yeah, a bit of orange peel on the centre bit. I'm not quite sure about that, but yeah, welcome to Essex, guys. So we have successfully picked up our piece of furniture. As you can see, it's in here. It literally only just fits, so Mrs. DL has done that perfectly. So yeah, we're on a return leg now. I'm going to reset the trip computer to see what we get on the way home. So let's have a look. Change it here. The last trip computer has been going for 6,000 miles, so it'll be interesting to see if we can there we go, reset all values. Right, so let's see what we get on the way home from now. So we'll be taking the A127 up to the M25 from Southend. Then we're going to go up around the M25 northbound onto the M40, M42, M5, and then off at Worcester. So quite a long journey, 223 miles for a sideboard. Well, technically it's 450 miles including the down journey. So yeah, but I think it's worth it. It's worth it. It's exactly what we wanted. So yeah, I'll join you guys probably on the motorway again. So we're on the M25, queuing as per usual. We've got I think this is probably the worst road, or at least the worst motorway in Britain. It's just a crap stretch of tarmac. But we've been going about an hour and a bit, average speed of 48.6 miles per hour. I've had the cruise control set to the speed limit most of the time, so cruising at 70. Oh, sounds nice, doesn't it? SVR Range Rover there. So we've averaged 53.1 mpg That's actually gone up since we've been queuing in traffic, which is interesting. I've got it in Eco Pro mode, just to try and see what sort of MPG we can get. But we've got 372 miles of range showing. We've still got 157 miles to go, so we'll easily get home. So hopefully, once we get back out onto the open road, we're just coming off now onto the M40, junction 16 of the M5. So hopefully, when we eventually come off, the roads will open up. It's just the M25 that's a sticking point. Every time we've done this journey, because we've got family down here, it's always the M25. It's a fantastic journey until the M25. We've got just over 100 miles on the M40, which should hopefully bump that number up. Or what it might do is drop it down, depending on how the skid. I mean, it's the 8-speed ZF gearbox, which, to be fair, is a lovely smooth gearbox. At speeds sort of 50, around that sort of speed, it struggles to find a gear that it's happy with. You're sort of going into 7th on the way down the hills, and then down into 5th, and it's just all a bit funny. It gets itself in a bit of a tiz, but yeah, it's nice and comfortable all the other times. I think you could almost just do with being stuck in. It might be to do with the mode it's in. But if it's in sport mode, it'll be fine. But yeah, so we'll come off now onto the M40, and I will join you guys later on when we sort of stabilise the speed that we're going, and have a good run at 70 miles per gallon, or 70 miles an hour even. Okay, so we're just about to come off the M5 at Worcester. I thought I'd just give you a quick update on the motorway driving. As you can see, we've averaged 52.4, cruising at 70 miles an hour. It's been pretty effortless, to be honest. This is quite like the Volvo in the fact that you feel like if you had an unlimited stretch of road, the car would literally go on forever. It's very easy to put miles on it. So yeah, we're just going to come off of Worcester now. A few things I have noticed, and I know I've mentioned it already, the cruise control system on this, it hasn't got any better. It's every time we go downhill, it brakes. It's just done it there actually. So it braked us down the hill and then accelerated back up to the speed instead of just maintaining the speed that you've set it to, which is a bit annoying. Obviously wastes more fuel and it's just a bit jerky. And also, can you imagine how much more quickly you're going to go through brake pads if the car is constantly braking at 70 miles an hour and then accelerating and braking again? It just seems a bit silly. I think it's probably something that BMW could fix for a software update. And I don't think I've had the same issue in newer cars. I think this is 2019. So I'd be surprised if you get the same issue on a 2021 car. But yeah, just something to consider. Then also the cruise controls are actually fairly easy. You've got your sort of reset, limit, and just your up and down there. What's nice is that you've got the single push, which will move it up 1, or the double push, which will change it by 5, which is quite useful if you're going sort of down from speed limits. Just 2 pushes down and you'll be absolutely fine. So yeah, we're off the motorway now. We've just got our bit of the A44 to do, which pretty much takes us home. So we've got the sideboard rattling back there. Yeah, it's been a very pleasant car, don't get me wrong. Mrs. DL says she got back pain now from it, but I think that's probably from lifting the furniture in the car rather than the car itself. But I know what she means. These seats are quite firm, and because these are the manual adjustable seats, you don't have lumbar support or adjustable lumbar, which is a bit annoying. And I've had to somewhat modify my seating position because of the size of the sideboard in the back of the car. But yeah, and then interior wise, this has all been fairly useful. As you can see, we've got some road trip beverages, which is nice, and this plaque here has been very useful to remind us what we're driving. But apart from that, no other comments really. So yeah, we'll probably join you once we're back out on the A44, just to wrap up this video with my final thoughts really. We are not far at all now from Drive Life Towers. We've got about another 10 miles or so we're not far. But I thought I'd wrap up the video, give you my final thoughts on the car as we wind over to Wales. So as you can see, we've averaged 51.2 mpg. It's dropped a bit since coming off the motorway, but you'd expect that because these A roads are sort of stop and start, hilly, etc. It's not hardly ideal, and obviously we've got a bit of weight in the back as well with this ridiculous sideboard. So yeah, it's so far been absolutely fantastic. But I thought I'd touch on a few things because obviously the title of the video is comparing it to the S80. Now, in terms of continental crossing ability, I think the Volvo still pips it because you've got just that much more comfort than this car. And the way that this car sort of wobbles along sort of a lateral wobble that happens on A roads, that's pretty ridiculous at something that costs 42 grand new. It's a bit of an oversight. I'm sure if you had the air suspension or something like that, it might help it, but yeah, it's just something to consider. I also thought the economy would be a bit more different. I thought this would have a much better fuel economy for being a 2 litre diesel compared to the 2.4 litre 5-cylinder, but realistically you're going to be looking about the same MPG for the Volvo as you are this, if not better. Obviously you've got the bigger tank on the Volvo, bigger fuel tank, so you've got your cruising range of nearly 1,000 miles averaging 51 mpg, so that is again something that's surprised me. Interior comfort, everything like that, it's the same. I think for the price, it's diminished returns in terms of what you can get. You're not going to get a BMW that's more comfortable than the Volvo. I think we can surmise from this. Even new Volvos are far more comfortable, but that's what they market to, isn't it? That is their market. We've actually got XC40 and XC90 there, and a C30, so it's Volvo country around here. But overall, this has been great. I think what you need to view this car is, and all new cars, is there we go. There's one of the drawers off the sideboard. Is an appliance to get you from A to B. They're not something that you're going to fall in love with. This is very numb and emotionless. It's very good at getting you from A to B, but it's not going to sort of capture your heart. There's no fancy lovely sounds or anything. I'm sure if you went for a 340i or an X340 or even the X3M, might be a different story, but even then they're a bit too clinical for me anyway. But yeah, overall I've been quite impressed. There's been one near-death experience which was quite funny. In the third lane, or the fast lane of the M40, I managed to put the car into neutral, putting my Pepsi bottle back in there, because all you do is if you knock that, and the Volvo, so you can rest your hand on it, if you knock that forward, it puts it into neutral, and suddenly we had no drive at all. I didn't realise what I'd done because it doesn't tell you. There's a little end that changes there, but it sort of does set like an alarm off to think, hang on a minute, you were doing 70 miles an hour and now you've put me into neutral. I think they should probably either change the design or make it so you have to press the unlock button on the side, or so you can only do it if you really mean to, or perhaps even have a tone that goes off to let you know that you've done it. I just think that would be a bit easier. But yeah, overall can't complain at all. It's done its duties as a van very well. I know that's not what it's originally designed for, but that's pretty much what this poor old X3 has been used for, as a van to haul stuff around. So yeah, done that very well. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. What other cars has your Volvo been up against and you've preferred? It's just interesting, isn't it, to see things. I mean, if you've got different priorities in a car, then this car probably better in certain circumstances. But for me, yeah, it's I can't see the value of paying over 20 times the price. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video. Cheers.